which is, the recent move to the two-stage process for the discovery projects. And what I understand, that it has revealed sometimes very large differences in the scores given by the 3 different College of Experts members for the same grant. And of course, this will happen to some degree in any peer review scoring system. But I guess what I want to find out is that, have you done any analysis on the distributions of the expression of interest scores and the full application that used to happen before? Because I think it's important for the trust in the process and for transparency to understand what the differences are.
Senator, we haven't done an analysis of the first stage of the DP as against last year or previous year's DP because the round itself has not finished yet as a total. But it's definitely an aspect of the way the assessments are done where there is a process to look at anomalous results, and Professor Toomey would be very happy to give you an insight into the way that happens. So it kind of happens as we're doing the process, so we don't wait to the end to then retrospectively compare it to another round. Not that we're saying
because
that wouldn't be a good idea.
Those rounds are so different, I guess. There's a two-stage process, which is DP25.
Yes.
And then there was the previous DP scheme. So I'm just wondering if you are planning on doing an analysis.
We're certainly planning, and we've said this all along, because, as you're aware, there was a really strong appetite amongst researchers for us to trial or to implement a two-stage process.
Yep.
And we designed the process sort of in consultation with the sector, but all along we have said that we are looking for feedback points all across to learn how did it go and some things that we might change to improve it next time. But if you would like to know a little bit about how we addressed your initial concern at the first stage, Professor Toomey will be able to take you through that briefly.
Well, I can also reassure you, Senator, that we are having a post-implementation review of the DP two-stage process, so we'll be looking at all steps along the way. I need to understand your concern a little better before I answer the question, though.
Yeah.
So, if you could...
Sure. So I'm just raising this concern that I have heard that the two-stage process has revealed sometimes very large differences in scores given by 3 different College of Experts members for the same grant. So what I'm asking, and that may not have been the case for the one-stage process. So what I'm asking is, will you do a proper analysis of both the systems to compare how they're faring?
Yes, we will. And when we were doing the assessments of the first stage, the EOI stage, we made sure we had a proper process in place so that applicants who had varied scores that were more than 2 letter grades apart, we looked at whether they were disadvantaged by the median or the mean score, and we made sure that the higher of the 2 scores was their final calculation. So we had a very careful process in place to deal with those very large discrepancies in scores, and we will, as I stated earlier, have a post-implementation review and examine the outcomes of the scheme.
Okay. And have you sought before in the analysis that you've done, or will you seek now in what you do, any external advice on your methods and your ranking, that your methods and ranking proposals are robust?
Yes, well, in any post-implementation review, you would speak to stakeholders, but you would also look at international best practice and see how your scheme was tracking against that. So that is part of our internal processes for ensuring that we continue to deliver results that fund the most excellent research.
So you said you'll consult stakeholders. Who would those stakeholders be?
The stakeholders will be the College of Experts who conducted the assessment.
Who've actually done the assessment themselves. Yes. I'm talking about external to the ones who have done the assessments.
Yes, so we will also consult research officers, DVCRs, people who were involved in the process.
And you've done this before for the previous analysis?
Of the results?
Yes, so you said, you said you've looked at the one-stage process.
Yes.
And you've done that. Did you consult external stakeholders for that process?
I'm not sure what you mean there, Senator, because the clearly identified process was that when applicants submitted their EOI, that EOI would be assessed by members of the College of Experts.
Yes, I do know that.
And so who else would you like us to have consulted about those applications?
I think
I'm not talking about applications,
Yes.
I'm talking about the analyses of the results.
Yes, so Senator, I think it's important to put a little ring fence around the fact that when you're running a process for a program under a Commonwealth program, it would be unusual midway to seek external stakeholders' views on the result halfway. That, in fact, there may well be rules that prescribe you from doing that. I think what Professor Toomey was saying was that once we've completed the round, we'll have a full assessment and analysis of it, and yes, we will involve stakeholders in that process.
Yep. So I understood from Professor Toomey that the previous DP schemes have been analysed in a similar way. So I was asking if there were external stakeholders that were consulted and who were they.
We're happy to take on notice for previous what the practice has been. Yep.
And if you could also take on notice who would be the external stakeholders that you would consult.
Yeah, we're happy to take that on notice too.